this, I just first and foremost want to say thank you once again for committing to our calls. We only have 2 calls left, and before our big celebration, our bring your own beverage party, that will be on January 4th. So 2 last calls after this call, but first of all, I'm so excited for this. If you don't know Miss Keichun, she is absolutely incredible. She is a senior regional sales manager here at the corporate office. She's over the Southeast region. She works with the 3 to 8 star diamonds in that region. But most importantly, she is a talented, amazing speaker. And she actually just recently got back from Amy Silverman's retreat. And I was asking her, okay, what are your thoughts? What do you want to speak upon? And she said, I presented this, I loved it, and I would love to bring this to your ladies. So without further ado, and I just wanted to explain what this is, Vaction is vision and action. It took me a minute to understand what the heck that was. I wanted to spell vacation, but it's Vaction. And this is not your typical goal setting. So I won't say anything more, Miss Keish. Why don't you go ahead and get started?
All right. Thanks, Britt. What's up? I'm so excited to be here. Y'all, I'm boisterous and I'm not dimming my light. I know it's 9 o'clock in the morning for some of you guys, but let's do this. Let's bring some energy. Like Britt mentioned, I'm going to be talking about vision casting, what I like to call a little bit of action, because we know that where there's no vision, there's no hope, and without action, there's no way to really achieve the vision. So when she was typing out, we're going to be talking about goals, I was like, make sure they know it's not just like an eye roll, like really another goal setting conversation, because how many resources are out there for goal setting and vision casting and missions, and there's so many resources, but I would like for us to come together, and this is not just for you. This is also something that you can disseminate down to your teams in order for us to go into 2018 prepared and all on one accord. So this is a 3-phase exercise that's going to allow you all to do exactly that. Reflect on 2017, reflect on this year, and then begin to plan for yourself and help your teams plan for themselves the upcoming year, 2018. So for me, this is for, in my opinion, this is for anyone. This is for me, this is for Britt, this is for you. But especially, I don't think that it should just stay in this conversation. I don't think that it should just stay in this mastermind. I think that if you think that if it's a healthy resource, to be sure that you do this with your teams. It is my creation, but I want you guys to know that I didn't just come up with it on my own. I used a few different books in order to help me get to this particular 3-phase exercise. So the books that I used to help me create this are 12-Week Year, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have read, Think and Grow Rich. I think that sometimes the title of that book throws people off. I'm talking to a different crowd of coaches, a different crowd of leaders. So perhaps you have read that book. If you haven't, y'all, it is a game-changing book. And then the third book that maybe you haven't read yet is called Write It Down, and it's very long. Write It Down, Make It Happen, Knowing What You Want and Getting It. So those are the books that I used in order to come up with this 3-phase exercise that we're going to be talking about today. So some of the questions are definitely questions that are going to make you think. And some of these we made, how long do I have, Britt?
I would say 30, 45 minutes.
Okay, so if we have time, maybe we can discuss some of these questions in a group. But mostly this is an exercise for you to write down the questions, take with you, think about, reflect on, and then again, discuss with your team so that they are on one accord. So you guys all are going after the same mission and vision. So basically, don't let this be the last time you take in this information. Don't let this 30, 45 minutes be in vain. I think that this is a pretty good exercise, and I think that you should really use it and, of course, disseminate down to your teams. So going into it, as I was preparing, I was just, kind of looking at mission statements, looking at visions, and kind of trying to understand why they're often confused, because they are. And so I was doing some research. I was figuring out the actual definitions, and the mission statement is essentially your formal summary of your values, and then what you want to reach, while your vision is your desired future position. So with those two definitions, it definitely makes sense why they're often confused and why they're often put together. And so if you don't have a mission or a vision, which I'm going to use interchangeably in this conversation, this is that opportunity. This is the exercise that will allow you to be able to create that. Now, have you guys already kind of begun to think about that 2018 vision, mission for yourselves, for your teams? You can just, yes. Yeah, okay, I see some heads like, yeah, a little bit. Okay, love it, love it, love it, love it. I love them talking to leaders. Woo! All right, so let's just get into the 3 phases. And let me tell you that when we talk about goals, I always like to talk about goals in 3 different ways. I like the number 3 in 3 different ways. I like to talk about goals. First, joy goals. Your joy goals, what roots you in joy, what keeps you going, what makes you smile, what makes you happy. And yes, some of these 3 different ways to look at the goals may intertwine, or they may overlap, and that's okay. But I definitely think that as we look at these 3 different types of goals, which I'll name the other 2 in just a second, I always stay rooted in my joy goals. For instance, for me, what brings me joy is community service. I make sure that I put 2 community service activities on my calendar a month. Period. That's what brings me joy. That's what roots me in a foundation of humbleness and allows me to continue to see my bigger vision and what I want to do in order to help this community that I like to help. So joy goals. Second, your personal goals. Third, your Beachbody goals. And again, these goals can definitely overlap, but I just like to think about goals holistically. So joy goals, personal goals, Beachbody goals. In lieu of what Britt and I do, I am going to focus on Beachbody goals for our conversation. But I encourage you guys to go back through this exercise and figure out the joy, figure out the personal, and the vision that you have for yourself in those areas in order to plan the action necessary to ensure you are rooted in what brings you joy. Ensure that you are on the plan, on the track to reach those personal goals. And of course, we're going to be talking about Beachbody goals, and that's what this group is for. That's what being around people on similar missions, that's what these groups are for. So if you're not quite sure, if there are some loopholes in the action steps necessary to reach your Beachbody goals, your Beachbody vision, then that's what you can bring to this conversation. So also keep in mind, as we talk about these 3 phases, that I like to plan goals in quarters. Of course, I like to be audacious thinking, but sometimes when I think about the year and I think about how audacious my thinking could be, it sometimes becomes overwhelming. So I like to break it down into quarter, and I even like to break that down into monthly goals based on that quarter goal. And I'll probably use quarter and 12-week year interchangeably. So that's what Brian calls it, the author of 12-week year. He calls these quarter goals your 12-week year goals. Okay, so phase 1 is all about what do you want? So what do you want is the first question. That's the main question. Some secondary things to think about as you're answering it are, what is it that you want to achieve? And again, you can be as audacious as you want with this what do you want question, but I definitely recommend that it is a realistic goal to reach by the end of next quarter. So what do you want to do? What do you want by the end of March, essentially? And then as you're thinking about it, we'll talk a little bit further in phase 2, how we're going to break it down. So the first question is, what do you want? The second question in this first phase is, what do you want to do with what you want? What do you want to do with what you want? So this is essentially your why. What will you do with the achievement of your desires? What does that mean to you, for you? So what do you want to do with it? And then the third question in this phase is, when do you want to do it by? Have a date. I often hear, my goal is to grow. Okay, well, what does that mean? What do you want to do with it? When do you want to do it by? So then the fourth thing is to put those first 3 questions together in a written statement. And that, my friends, that's the beginning of your mission. That's the beginning of your vision. And so you want to keep that written statement of, what do you want? What do you want to do with it? When do you want to do it by, somewhere visible? I have mine on my phone. I see it every day. I also have it on a Post-it note. hanging on my bathroom mirror. So I read it every day while I'm brushing my teeth. My girlfriend, she's awesome. She actually has hers printed out and put in a picture frame in her bathroom. So when she brushes her teeth, it doesn't get all gross. But essentially, we want to put this statement together and keep it somewhere visible for you each day. And then in lieu of time, we're not going to do this, but this fifth piece of this first phase is when you begin to talk plan of action. And also when you identify who will hold you accountable. And so as you are doing this with your teams, that's when you ask, who wants to share their first quarter goal? Who wants to share their action? This is the ability to begin to mastermind. Okay, well, have you thought about this? This is the opportunity for them to say, well, I'm not quite sure how to do X, Y, Z. You can say, well, have you thought about this? Or you can empower some of your coaches in that team, because you guys are all great leaders. You guys are all molding amazing leaders underneath you. And so chances are we are going to have this great opportunity, this great platform in this question, in your masterminds, in your team calls, to begin to collectively mastermind on the plan of action. But this is Vaction. So if we only stop at those first four questions or points in this phase one, then we are doing ourselves a disservice. Allow that fifth piece of phase one, the let's talk plan of action and who will hold you accountable, to really be the main point. So again, in lieu of time, this is typically when I ask if anybody wants to share, but I digress. Okay, so that's the first phase. The second phase then is the action or actions necessary to reach your goal. So this is when we can go even deeper in what is necessary to reach this bigger vision, this vision that you have for yourselves, for your teams by quarter one, by the end of the year. So the first question or point, I'll probably use those interchangeably too, is what are the small goals or the small actions necessary along the way? What are those smaller pieces? You say your vision, your goal is to grow. Okay, so what are the small steps that mean growth by the end of first quarter? What are the actions necessary along the way to the end of March? The second is, what and who do you need, and what do you need to know in order to reach your desires? What and who do you need, and what do you need to know in order to reach your desires? Guys, this particular season that we're in right now is grind season. It's hustle season. That's the whole name of this mastermind that you're a part of right now. So we're going big. We're going hard. And yes, in order to go hard towards the end of 2017, towards the end of 2017, starting 2018 starts right now. We have to talk about 2018 right now, but 2017 ain't over till it's over. You have to run through your finish line that ends on January 1st. And so while we're in this grind season, we're not learning. This is not training time. This is implementing what you already know. And so come January, that is our opportunity to figure out what it is that we need to know to reach our desires. Maybe you're not on Instagram yet, which I'm going to naturally assume that everyone on this call, because just who I'm talking to, is on Instagram. If you're not, you should be. It is working. Instagram, maybe it's ads, or maybe it's whatever it may be. Now, in this particular grind season, hustle season, is not the time to learn it. But come January, and as we're beginning to plan the steps, the actions necessary to reach the 2018 vision, we're going to have to begin to think about, what is it that I need to know in order to reach those desires that I don't know already? What trainings do I need? Who can I lean on? Who can support me? Maybe it is a life coach. Maybe it is a business coach. Okay, so what and who do you need, and what do you need to know in order to reach your desires? That's the second point. The third point is, how much time? And you can think about this time daily or weekly or whatever makes the most sense for you and for your coaches as you do this exercise with them. But how much time are you willing to give to what you need? So this is, again, an opportunity to be super realistic. Get with your success partner. Get with Britt. Have your coaches get with their success partners. In order to ensure it's realistic. because expectations are the root of heartbreak. You can't expect to earn 6 figures and give this thing an hour. It's just not realistic, period. It is way over time, but not in a year. You're going to have to give us a little bit more. So how much time are you willing to give to what you need? And then 4, begin to craft your to-do list. Now, this is another resource that has like 501 million, okay, I'm being super dramatic, different resources available to you and different types of to-do lists and this to-do list and that, and this is so many, right? And so we, based on your actions to reach your goals, your coach's actions to reach their goals, this is individual. We're not reinventing wheels. We'll take bits and pieces, but this is our opportunity to craft the to-do list. And this does not have to be your to-do list for the rest of the year or even for the first quarter or even for the month. But I do think it's very important to have a list to start you off. Why? Because the most common reason people don't reach their goals that I hear is because they don't know what to do. And so maybe that's not you, but maybe that is a coach on your team. Another reason that I hear that people don't reach their goals is they didn't know the order to do it in. So put it in a real order and check it off and don't go skipping to number 4 until you've done number 1. And yes, there's discipline in that, but that's when the accountability partner that we've already identified comes into play. And sometimes it may seem quote unquote childish to have someone holding you accountable for doing your to-do list in order. But if that's what you need, then that's what you need. Personal story, there was something that I was just completely fearful in my personal life. And I was spending too much time trying to figure out why I was fearful to the point where I still wasn't doing it. And then I called my success partner. I was like, you know what? If I don't do this by the end of the week, problem number 1, I owe you $100. Well, I gave myself to the end of the week. So guess what? I still didn't do it. And so she really made me pay her $100. And so then I was like, okay, listen, this has got to stop. If I don't do it tonight, I owe you $1,000. Discipline, skin in the game, and I had her, and yes, it was kind of childish to have someone hold me accountable for something as silly as it is to think about now, but you bet your bottom I was not about to pay her $1,000. I did it that night. I gave myself a shorter window of time. I didn't give myself a whole long time, which is why I like thinking about goals in quarters and in months as opposed to the year, and I had skin in the game. So yes, there's going to be discipline involved and doing it in the proper order, but have your coaches, have yourselves list your to-do list activities and the actions necessary in the order. And this is especially good for people who are doing this part-time. Okay, so if you don't, and this is a point from the one thing, if you don't have a lot of time to devote or you're doing this business in pockets of time, make sure that your to-do list is absolutely in order of those business producing activities first and foremost, of those activities possibly that you don't like to do, but you know you need to do in order to be the person that you desire or to reach the vision of your desires. Put those at the top of your list. Get those done first, especially if you're doing this part-time or if you have coaches who are doing this part-time. The third reason that I hear people aren't successful with reaching their goals in regards to to-do lists is that they had too much on their to-do list. So be mindful of that. Be mindful that your coaches aren't overwhelming themselves with just having too much on their to-do list. So that's why it is so important to begin to craft your to-do list now. And again, you can definitely change it up. I'm not saying that this has to be your forevermore to-do list, but going into the first week at the very least of January, you know, your team knows what to do. And then make sure that we take time to evaluate that to-do list often. 1, are you doing it? Are you actually doing the things that you've identified will take you from here to where you're trying to go? If you are, awesome. If you're not, revise it. 2 is, are those things on your to-do list actually getting you to the attainment of your vision? If no, revise it. So reevaluate that to-do list often. Make sure that you are not just doing the busy work, not just doing the work that doesn't get you to the attainment of it. And then lastly, do your actions match your goals? Do your actions match your goals? If yes, then awesome. Keep it going. If no, revise it. And a few other points in this phase is, 1, You're not in this alone. Even as the leader, you're not in this alone. So know that you don't have to reinvent trainings. You don't have to do opportunity calls even as the leader, you don't have to do opportunity calls or backstage passes or coach sneak peeks or whatever you call it by yourself. That is what the team is for. And especially you've been attracting a team of like-minded people. That's why you did that. It's not to, be taken advantage of yourself. Like, when you're being taken advantage of, and when it's time to nip things in the bud, when you feel like you're the only one working in that, you have to set proper expectations, right? Expectations sometimes can be the root of you, but you got to at least start with it. That way you can say, you know what? These were kind of some of the things that we collectively as a team agreed upon that we would do to make this thing go. You're not doing it. So what are you going to do about it? Or do you not have time anymore? Because we got to make this work and you're making this harder. So sometimes we do have to have those tough conversations. That way we're not being taken advantage of. But as a leader, you don't have to do it by yourself. And also on the other side of that, this is also not the opportunity to take advantage of others. So what I'm saying is, you're not in this alone. Do this as a team. Do your challenge groups together. Do a landing page together. Why are you doing individual landing pages? Jamie Fitzpatrick had a landing page for 80-day obsession launch, and his entire team is using it. Maybe it's a Google form. Whatever it is that you guys use, just know that you don't have to do it alone, even as the leader, and especially perpetuate this ideology throughout your organization, throughout your teams, because I'm going to naturally assume that a lot of you guys are doing this full time, but perhaps your coaches aren't at this point. So especially if they're doing this part-time, that is how you succeed part-time. Don't expect the part-time coach, and now it can be done, but don't expect the part-time coach to be doing everything you're doing, and you're doing this full-time, and they're doing this part-time, and going to reach that same success. So especially allow them to know that as a part-time hustler, as a part-time coach, that they for sure do not have to do this alone. That's what the team is for. That's why you have casted that vision so graciously, so amazingly, to bring on these people of like-minded people, to lean on, and to lean on the community, and to lean on your team. So another thing to note in this phase is that as you're getting your plan of action down, be sure, and this is probably not for you, but probably for your coaches, that you know who you're talking to. That is so important, because as you guys already know, if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. And so your niche, your avatar, I'm sure you've heard it called all different ways. There's so many different trainings. They are so robust, but I will give you the Cliff's Notes version. Typically, this person is you before the breakthrough or the decision, right? Because not everybody had a breakthrough. Some of us went through different lives. We didn't all come from this rags to riches story, right? Maybe some of us lived well and we just needed some. So it's typically the person before the breakthrough or the decision. And once you stop making excuses. Why is that second part so important? Because if we continue to talk about that person before the breakthrough or before the decision was made, but when we were still making excuses, what are we going to get? People who make excuses. And so we have to talk about, okay, yeah, we did make this excuse, but then this is what happened. This is why I stopped making that excuse. This is when I got fed up. Are you feeling like this? So we want to make sure that we are talking to this person that you, and it's typical. And guys, your avatar doesn't have to look exactly like you, which is why I kind of loathe those trainings sometimes, because it's like, anyway, I won't go there. I was about to be kind of rude. So it doesn't have to look like you. They don't have to like all the same things. That's what makes the team great, that you guys do have different opinions on things, that you guys do look different, that you guys do like different things. But the objective is that you guys have similar thinking, similar mentality, and of course, similar visions. That's who we're talking to. And be descriptive when inviting them and when talking to them. Okay, so those are the first two phases. Any questions before I go into this last phase? How are you guys feeling? Okay, all right, so then the third and final phase is letting go in order to move forward. Letting go in order to move forward, y'all. This is so important. All right, so here's the first point to this phase. List 2 disappointments And again, you can think how far back you want to think, but as we're talking about closing 2017 in order to go into 2018, I would recommend it be over this past year. So list 2 disappointments and how they've helped to define you. List 2 disappointments and how they have helped to define you. So then secondly, list 2 of your greatest achievements over the past year. And you can list way more achievements, but as far as the first point, the disappointments, 2 only. Why? Because as 8 types, as entrepreneurs, as people who always are aspiring to do more and be better, we can probably list way more disappointments. That is not the object. The object is to list 2 only, and how specifically they've helped to define you. And then second, 2 of your greatest achievements over this year. So that's why I said that this is one of those exercises that you are going to have to think about and take some time to reflect on, and encourage your coaches to do the same. This is one of the most important parts of this exercise. And then 3, 2 dominating thoughts. And you can list a few more dominating thoughts if you want, because I'll explain more in our 4th point. But dominating thoughts. And in these, as I was preparing for this exercise, I love the way that they put in one of the books these dominating thoughts. Or they were also explaining it to be, we have external objections and then we have internal objections. So these are our limiting beliefs. What are your dominating thoughts? It's too much work, or I don't have the time, or I just can't, or I don't look like the people reaching success, or whatever it may be. List those out. And why do those thoughts control you? And so what are the actions necessary in order to let them go? And I'm going to go back to that story that I mentioned on when I was taking too much time trying to figure out why I was scared to do the thing. Guys, if this particular point of this exercise becomes like a time suck, a time waste, then move on. Stop trying to figure out why. I'm a proponent of figuring out why, but if you begin to allow that figuring out process to be another excuse why you're not doing it, or why you're still thinking the same thoughts, then stop that negative mess, period. So list 2 dominating thoughts. And why do those thoughts control you? And what are the actions necessary in order to let go? Sometimes the actions are conversations that need to be had with your family. Maybe some of those actions are letting go of people who are not conducive to where you're trying to go. Maybe it's blocking people. Maybe it's through action, which in my opinion is the number 1 way. I'm scared of this. I'm going to stop trying to figure out why. I'm just going to do it because I know it needs to be done. I got my success partner on the back end really holding me accountable. If I don't do it, I owe her $1,000. And so I know that I'm going to do the actions necessary for me to reach this vision that I've created for myself. So action is the first way, but then the second way, and in these books and even in articles and podcasts, some people may roll their eyes and say, this is hokey, but I'm going to say if success leaves clues, then why not? If the most successful people, not in this business, but in general, in the world are doing this, then why wouldn't we? And so outside of action, there are affirmations. So on the other side of your limiting beliefs, affirm yourself. On the other side of those dominating thoughts, affirm yourself. So if you don't do affirmations right now, I'm not saying go get a list of 5, 10, 15, 20. I'm saying start with 1. But affirm yourself with that number 1 dominating thought. Affirm yourself with maybe those 2, since we listed out 2 dominating thoughts, with those 2. I don't have what it takes. I am enough. I'm broke. Ooh, please don't ever use the B word. I'm broke. I don't have money. Money comes easily and freely to me. Affirm yourself. So I personally have a list of like too many affirmations. I don't read them all every day. I pick and choose what I need, but you bet your bottom I do them every single day. And I've truly seen a change in my life since beginning to implement them. So if your coaches aren't doing affirmations, again, we're not trying to overwhelm them with more stuff, but if success leaves clues, then why wouldn't we? If we have been thinking this negative mess for 30 plus years, 35 plus years, why wouldn't we? If propaganda in the media and on the radio is telling us that you ain't gonna be nothing, then why would we not tell ourselves and affirm ourselves? That's what we hear every day. That's what society is telling us. That's what your best friend who's saying, why are you posting that? That's what these people are telling us. So why wouldn't we take some time for us to affirm ourselves? It is that important, because if you believe it or not, it is being ingrained in you. It's so important. Your thoughts become things. And so if you're allowing these outside factors to be the thing that takes you to your vision, you're never going to get to the vision, ever. Affirm yourself. So then that's the end of phase 3. But I had some last minute self-reflecting thoughts. Questions that I was like, oh, these are good. I think I might put them in, but it might be too long. But I want to give them to you. 1, what kind of impact do you want to make next year? How do you want to be remembered? What kind of impact do you want to make next year? And how do you want to be remembered? What will you and your team celebrate? Why will this year be different? And lastly, what's the story that you're going to tell your family about 2018 in the future? What kind of impact do you want to make next year? How do you want to be remembered? What will you and your team celebrate? What will be different? And what's the story that you're going to tell your family about 2018 in the future? And I encourage you guys to write that out and to seal it and to open it on January 1st, 2019. Guys, you have the power to be the person, to be the leader, to be the wife, to be the mom, to be the coach, the team that you desire. You have everything it takes right now to reach the goals and to achieve your vision. You are worthy, you are deserving, and you absolutely positively can do this, regardless of what may or may not have happened in the past, or what may or may not have happened this year. It does not matter, because even today, right now, is a new day. And especially January 1st, it is a completely new day. So that's why this exercise is so important. So you can reflect on 2017, let go of what's not conducive, and to keep moving. I'm a hiker, and one of my favorite seasons of the year is fall. And the reason why I love to go hiking, especially in the fall, is because, well, as a hiker, as an outdoors person, I know I have like Christy on, I know she can feel me on this one, is that we like to parallel some of these hikes and just being outdoors with life a lot. And so one thing is, I was up on the top of the mountain. I was looking at the leaves that were changing colors. I'm in Utah. We have 4 seasons. The leaves that change in the fall are gorgeous. The trees are letting go of their leaves. And I was thinking, we need to be like trees. We need to let go of the things that are not going to take us in our next season. We need to let go of the things that will not take us in the next season. It may be people, it may be your dominating thoughts, but whatever it is, we do this exercise so we can identify it, let it go, and get ready to crush 2018. So we've talked about 2018. We talked about how to start the year strong, but I want you to know, again, I cannot reiterate this enough, that it starts with what you do today, especially today with the launch of 80-Day Obsession Packs. Y'all, this is a game changer. This is the future of beach. This is how we will probably be doing program launches from here on out. This is your volume. Have you been complaining about volume? Well, this is that opportunity. Have you been complaining about how to engage your current coaches? This is how you do it. So it starts today. It starts right now. So be sure that you're running through the finish line that ends at the beginning of 2018. Make sure that you wake up on January 1st knowing that you could not have given 2017 a fingernail tip more. And that's as defined by you. That's not as defined by Carl. That's not as defined by me or Brittany. That's how you define running through your own finish line. So I'm just going to share this video. I got it queued up, but every time I share it, and if you've seen it before, because I love it, I apologize, but it is that good. So I'm going to share this really quick. And this is how I envision us running through our finish lines. Please stay queued up. Hopefully it's still queued up. Okay, we just have 10 seconds. So I'm gonna get this teed up for you. So this is a track race. Do I have any track athletes on? Any runners on? No. Oh, let me go one more down. Oh, okay, I see one head nod. Okay, Brooke, my runner. All right, so this is the 4x4. This is the last event of the race. Sometimes this is the make it or break it race for the entire competition that they've done all single day. So I want us to liken this to the year. I want this to liken it to the team. They're passing the baton. But what I really want you to be mindful of is how this one girl in particular finishes. This is how I envision, if we want something bad enough, if even just to finish strong, even just to make sure we're leaving it all out there, this is how I envision we would do it. So we have a good race going on. You know, first place, second place is coming up on second place is catching first place. And then we have this race in the back that we really can't see because they're like, oh, who cares about those people? They're just in the back. But this is what I want you to know. This is who I want you to pay attention to. So second has passed first. Third is coming up. First is losing her steam. She's still doing really good. But here comes the girl that believes in herself, who believes in her team. She was in fifth place. She got the baton at fifth place. She's now in fourth place. She's the girl in the red. She's now catching this third place girl in the yellow. She's now catching this second place girl. She's now catching this girl who's flailing in first place. And what I know is that she was willing to run through the finish line. That's how we should end 2017. If you don't end it like that, I don't know how bad you really wanted it, but it's as defined by you, how you defined running through your finish line. But if you don't do it, I don't know how bad you really wanted it. So that is our Vaction casting, our vision plus action. Any questions, guys?
Can I just say hot damn? That was good. Thank you.
Yay!
So questions or thank yous? Unmute yourself, please.
That was amazing. Like, I had chills and tears, and that was amazing. Thank you.
No problem, guys.
Can you hear me? I don't know if
Yes. Kiana, what's up, girl?
What's up? That was an awesome analogy because I ran track in college and I did that 4x4, and I always am like, whenever you talk, whenever you get passionate, I will never forget the time that you were at Summit, like hustling like a mofo, like down there sweating like buckets, trying to get us all our like reward, like our trophies. And that's what I love about you, is you always bring it every single time. So I was only expecting this from you, but I just wanted to thank you for your passion, because every single freaking time I listen to you, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And I was like, literally felt like I needed to jump up and down. And I literally felt like, oh my God, she's losing her breath because she's so passionate. And I feel like we could take an example on that, like just get so excited. I feel like often sometimes we get so caught up on the stuff that really, when you just lead with purpose and passion, that's when people want to follow, because you're excited and you're going to change. And so you had some amazing stuff and you said some awesome stuff, but what I got out of it was like, literally my heart started pounding as I'm listening to you. And when I saw that track, that brought so many memories. And that's exactly right. Like, you got to believe in yourself sometimes before anyone else believes in you. And you got to have purpose to keep pushing you to the end, because you're going to get booty lock and you're going to have issues before you can finish. But so thank you for your passion.
You're welcome. Thank you, girlfriend. I appreciate that. Well, thank you guys again for letting me be on, for letting me be a part of your morning, and for sharing some of this exercise with you. I hope again that it goes beyond our mastermind today. It goes beyond this conversation. I think it's pretty good. I've used it myself. So thank you again, guys.
Thank you, Keish. Thanks, ladies. Have a great day. Happy launch day.